New Kurzgesagt video.
In the 1960s,
Why are the text things fucked again? Yippee! What's going on with the font opacity fucking breaking every time, man? I hate it. There we go.
the US planned to...
Oh, really quiet.
In the 1960s, the US planned to nuke Israel with hundreds of thermonuclear
What?
bombs, and Panama
Oh! Okay!
and Alaska, all in the name of progress driven by a mad scientist to use the most destructive of weapons to build things, excavate canals, carve out harbors, tap oil and gas. This was Project Plowshare. It kept
Wouldn't
the
that
US
leave
busy
a
for 2 decades,
fuck ton of,
burned
like,
hundreds of millions of dollars,
radiation?
and exploded dozens of nukes for a bright future. In the most feverish years of the Cold War, when the world got terrifyingly close to blowing itself up.
And never got away
for
from that
peace.
since then.
Our story begins with the brilliant Hungarian physicist Edward Teller, one of the key scientists of the Manhattan Project, the colossal effort that led to the first nuclear bomb.
Okay.
But almost from the beginning, he dreamt of destroying the world much harder.
I'm sorry, V. I did not know this was gonna happen.
Like the Hiroshima and Nagasaki ones, release energy by splitting heavy atoms like uranium. But these are rare, expensive, and the resulting bombs are difficult to scale up. So, Teller lobbied for a different approach. Unleash the nuclear fire.
Thank you for the
by
care package.
smashing
I
together
just drank, but
hydrogen
thank you.
atoms. That would allow
It's
for
literally
bombs
in the
thousands
title.
of
Bro,
tons.
you think? No, it says the most insane mega project you never heard about. Fuck you mean it's in the title?
More powerful. The problem was technically hard, but in the 1950s, Teller solved it. The terrifying new thermonuclear bomb made Hiroshima and Nagasaki look like firecrackers. Nuclear
Awesome.
fire strong enough to end human civilization itself. The
Let's
Soviet
not
Union
fuck with
followed
that.
quickly, and
Thank
a
you for
new
follow.
madness for destruction took over the world. Teller was having the time of his life as he got to chase his nucleus dreams like a bomb so powerful that it would
Yeah,
wipe
he was
out
definitely
civilization in
not
one
like
single
Oppenheimer.
strike. A
I don't know if you
real
guys
thing
saw the movie, but in Oppenheimer, the movie, they show how much he regretted everything and stuff. This guy was like, let me make it bigger. Let me go harder.
US actually started working on. We've told this story before if you want to watch it. And as the perfectly sane man he was, Teller
Yeah.
had other great ideas, like nuking the moon to show the commies who's boss.
I see.
And if H-bombs could destroy the planet, maybe they could also reshape it. The logic wasn't entirely unhinged.
I mean, we
Humans
did
have
use
been using
dynamite.
explosives for mining and engineering
Yeah.
for centuries. And H-bombs
But
offered
there's
the same service with much more enthusiasm at a decent cost.
Bit of a
Why not use
difference
them to
though,
dig
innit?
ditches and make holes at a planetary scale. The idea of nukes
Hennessy?
for peace
Welcome,
was
welcome.
also pretty convenient. With public opinion increasingly opposed to the arms race and ever more terrified by World War III, nuclear engineering was a way to keep on testing.
Chad
nuclear
gonna
weapons
wipe humanity of the
without
face of the planet
saying
versus
testing
Virgin.
nuclear
Oh my
weapons.
God, I am become
So,
death
in
destroyer of
1957,
worlds.
the US
I think it
launched
goes hard
Project
though. That
Plowshare,
line is kind
a
of
bold
crazy.
plan to use nuclear explosions for peaceful engineering. And
V,
who would be put at
what the
helm?
hell are you saying, man?
Exactly. Cutting through continents. In 1956, Egypt had just nationalized the Suez Canal, a vital artery for global trade and oil delivery to Europe. So, one of the first ideas of the new build with nukes doctrine was to blast open a new one through the Israeli desert. On the other side of the world, the Panama Canal had long been in need of an upgrade. Scientists explored extension routes and found they would need to remove 1.2 billion cubic meters of earth, 500 Great Pyramids of Giza. A monumental task that would cost $6 billion if done with shovels, but only $3.1 billion with nukes.
Awesome.
Trying to blast open a panatomic canal. But even Teller understood that before nuking through continents, you should start small. So the first miracle of Project Plowshare would be a new harbor in Alaska. In just a few glorious milliseconds, 5 nukes with the combined punch of 170 Hiroshima bombs would carve out a 500 by 200 meter trench, opening the region to commerce and prosperity. The local communities weren't thrilled at the idea,
Yeah,
but
no
Teller
shit.
insisted that the dangers of nuke engineering had been greatly exaggerated. The major concern was radioactive
Yeah,
contamination.
no shit. That was my first thought as
Canals and
well.
harbors were great, but nobody wanted them glowing with radioactivity for thousands of years. Luckily, Teller had a plan, nuking the land from below, In a nutshell, nuclear excavation works like this. You drill a hole a few hundred meters deep and place the bomb at the bottom. When it goes off, the blast hollows out a cavern in the rock and flash melts its walls into magma. The molten rock pools at the bottom, the ceiling collapses, and the collapse ripples upwards until it reaches the floor, where it forms a crater. The result is a massive hole on top, with the radioactive debris sealed under hundreds of thousands of tons of rock.
Okay,
With
but
the theory
that...
looking flawless on paper, the time had come to actually test it.
I'm guessing the test did not go as planned.
The fiasco begins.
Yeah.
Cowshed debuted
Bro is
in
actually
1961
IRL
in the desert
Doofenshmirtz.
of
Yeah,
New Mexico.
literally.
A nuke with the power of 3,100 tons of TNT was buried 360
I figured the
meters deep in
plan
the heart
did
of
not
the
go to
salt deposit.
plan.
The goal was to explore a new idea to generate electricity. The explosion would melt the deposit into a pond of red-hot liquid salt whose heat could be pumped up to power turbines. A hybrid of fusion and geothermal
What the
power
fuck?
brought to you by H-bombs. Above ground, hundreds of officials, scientists and international guests had gathered to witness the birth of a new era.
What
Everyone
the
held
fuck
their
was this
breath
guy
as the
doing, man?
countdown ticked. And then, with a distant thud, the ground shuddered. Deep
Yeah?
below, the explosion hollowed a cavern the size of over 10 Olympic swimming pools. But Teller's team had missed a tiny detail. The salt contained far more water than expected, which turned into superheated steam
Oh,
that
no.
massively amplified the blast. The hole used to lower the bomb had been designed to collapse and seal itself after the explosion, but the unexpectedly monstrous pressure broke through.
Yeah, it created
So,
a
few
fucking...
minutes after the blast, a plume of radioactive
Oh,
steam erupted from
no.
the shaft, damaging cameras and instruments and bathing everyone in
Oh.
a strangely itchy sauna. The US government tried their best to convince everyone that things hadn't been that bad, but for some reason, the masses had a problem with clouds of radioactive fallout, even from peaceful nukes.
Yeah, I wonder
That
why.
wouldn't discourage Teller. So, to show the world how
The
cool
big
H-bombs could
Boominator?
really
He
be,
probably would,
scheduled
same
another
semen.
test, one 30 times more peaceful.
What is the animation? Bro!
30 times more peaceful.
Kurzgesagt, explain yourselves, bro. What is happening here?
In July,
No.
test, one 30
No,
times
why he
more
kinda
peaceful.
crazy with it though? Look at him with a little wink and everything, like shee.
In July 1962, while Cuban officials were visiting Moscow to negotiate a missile deal that would almost spark World War III,
Okay, why is this wordly yaoi?
A bomb worth 7 Hiroshima nukes exploded 200 meters underground in the Nevada desert.
Awesome.
This time, the goal was to test nuclear excavation itself and check how big the crater could get.
I'm sure nothing could go wrong.
Blast displaced 12 million tons of soil and hollowed out a gargantuan crater 100 meters deep and 400 meters across, the largest artificial crater in US history.
Okay,
But digging with
that's a big crater. 100 meters across, 100 meters deep and 400 meters across. That's big. That's massive. Okay, I'm not here to say that that's not huge. But with a nuke? I expected it to be worse. I don't know why. I guess a lot of the explosion just gets absorbed, or not absorbed, but like, you know, a lot of the force just moving that amount of soil, it's just that much work.
It's
kinda crazy.
Tricky. Bury the bomb too deep.
Yeah,
and
ground is
you'll
heavy,
get
I
a
know.
Disappointing dent. Bury it too shallow, and you risk launching a radioactive cloud into the sky, which was exactly what happened.
Yeah, you can't.
Someone had miscalculated the
So
depth
we-
of the explosion, and a plume of radioactivity punched
Oh,
through.
God, again.
Fallout was detected as far as South Dakota and Illinois, and panic broke out in Utah when radioactive iodine was found in milk. It turned into one of the dirtiest tests on US soil ever. Just one more.
Oh my
bro.
God, they did
The years that
another
followed
one
saw
after
more
all of
peaceful
this?
explosions and peaceful fallout. Meanwhile, Teller's proposals got weirder. Liquefy tar sands in Canada with nukes. Blast a highway through the Sierra Nevada with nukes. Connect rivers in Mississippi with nukes.
This
The
man
crown jewel of nuclear dreams was still the
needed to be
Panatomic
stopped,
Canal.
bro.
A legion of scientists
What's
worked
up, High
on it,
Architect?
and plans got disturbingly far. One of the top contenders was Route 17. an
Bro was on a
80-kilometer
mission
trench
to
across
do
pristine
nothing but use
Panamanian
nukes
jungle
for
that
everything.
was short, flat,
He
pretty
wanted them
deep,
nukes to
and
do
perfectly usable.
everything.
250 bombs with the power of 8,000
Close this.
Hiroshimas would do the job. 43,000 people across 17,000
That is
kilometers
crazy
would still
work,
have to
though.
be evacuated, you know, just in case. And shockwaves might shatter windows as far as Costa Rica and Colombia. But what were such details in the grand scheme of progress? So
Yeah,
let's
grand
rewind
scheme of
history
progress.
and
Nah,
press
bro
the
just wanted to
button
blow
see
shit
what
up.
might have happened if Teller had got his way. Ready to push the button? 3, 2, 1. Boom. The first round of nuclear salvos close to both coasts obliterates hundreds of square kilometers of pristine rainforest in seconds. A roaring success. Unfortunately, a cloud of fallout catches the Pacific winds. Weeks later, spikes of radiation are found over the Caribbean, and radioactive iodine, cesium, and strontium start to enter the food chains of both oceans. Tuna and sharks become radioactive.
Oh no.
One option would be to stop, but to have a radioactive scar across the jungle, contamination of 2 oceans, and no canal, better push through. So a second round of blasts goes off in the central Chuganaki River Valley, only to find that the central part of the isthmus had far more clay than expected. As soon as the rainy season hits, landslides clog the new craters like a self-healing wound. The choices: leave a mud-choked glowing blister through the rainforest, or begin a colossal engineering nightmare just to keep the jungle from landsliding onto the canal. Not to mention the ecological apocalypse and the devastating PR victory that 120 megatons of nuclear peace over Latin America would give Cuba and the USSR. Luckily, in our timeline, the US blinked and began to sober up. In 1970, a final report killed the Panatomic Canal, and with it, all nuclear
I can't
excavation
fathom the
projects.
fact that this was even
But Teller wasn't ready to
considered.
let go, so he turned to nuclear fracking. Not because it made sense, but to keep Plowshare alive. Just one more
unbelievable,
nuke, and
man.
I'll build the future, bro. But several explosions later, the result was ultra
People
expensive,
really are
radioactive
out of their
gas,
fucking
impossible
minds.
to sell. In 1977, after 20 years and dozens of nukes across the US, Project Plowshare
He
was
needed
finally
help, bro.
cancelled without reaching any of its goals. No canal, harbor, or tunnel had been built. In hindsight, it's easy to see how insane the idea was. But at a time when World War III felt imminent, when kids were playing with atomic toys as mushroom clouds filled the sky, using nukes to build a better future probably did feel like a great idea.
That was nice. That was a nice video. That was a lot of learning. I'm gonna go take a quick bathroom break. I'll be right back, chat.